I'd like to talk to you guys about one of the eight controllables, self-care. This is personally one of my favorite of the eight controllables because this is what really allows us to decide what it is and figure out what it is that fills our cup. This is one of those energy levels that helps take care of our spiritual, our emotional, and our mental energy. So I'm sure you remembered earlier on when we were talking about managing your energy, not time. We talked about an energy in and an energy out buffet. So I'm going to share my screen here with you. But what this does is our self care is the determining factor of what allows us to figure out what our energy in and what our energy out is. Now, for some people, there are things that are really clearly either an energy in or an energy out. There are some things that it may be an energy in for someone, but an energy out for another person. For example, haircut and shave, that's not energy in for me. That could be energy in for Justin, but for me, it may be energy out. For example, another example, walking the dog. We have that on the energy in list, but for some people, they may see that as spending energy. And then there's other things. For example, like looking on social media. For some people, that could be energy in. At times, it could be energy in, but it could also be energy out. So, what we have to determine is really figure out, and what I like to use as the filter here is what are those things that fill your cup? What are those things that give you and add to that spirit or that purpose energy? What are those things that really allow you to reset, take the time that you need to step back and allows you to become that better version of yourself? Now, what we like to do is make sure that everybody has a certain amount of energy in on a daily basis, whatever it may be. We can implement these in the form of routines. We can implement them in the form of weekly routines, whatever it may be, or we can implement them if things get tough. For example, one of the things that I like to do if I am facing a really, really stressful moment is there's three different levels of intensity that I have, and I have a strategy that I put on each one of them. So let's say, for example, I'm sitting in traffic, right? This is a pretty low intensity stress, but it's frustrating, right? It kind of bugs me and it bugs most people. So what I do in that moment is I just stop. I know I'm not moving anywhere, right? Close my eyes and for 60 seconds, take 10 deep breaths. It takes about a minute, but I just take those 10 deep breaths and then move on. Oftentimes, just breathing and taking that 60-second self care break can bring me back to the present moment and allow me to find the good things in sitting in traffic, right? It's a beautiful day out. I'm actually enjoying this. Otherwise, I would be sitting inside and not seeing the sun at all right now. So that's the first one. The second one is if it's mid intensity, right? Say I just have a really energy draining meeting or an energy draining coaching session. What I like to do is I always have 15 minutes in between my calls to give myself a little bit of time to decompress. So in those moments, I will step away. I will remove myself from the place that I'm in, go physically go into a different location and meditate for 10 minutes. 5 to 10 minutes. Again, depending on the intensity, but sometimes with a mid intensity situation, I need about 10 minutes to really just come back and decompress. Now, the third thing, let's say this is really high intensity. Think of loss of a job, moving to a different city, death in the family, or death of a loved one. These are those things that I may really need to take some time, right? I may need to say, you know what? I'm going to go do whatever it is I want to do. I'm going to go for an hour-long walk with the dog. I'm going to go sit by the pool. I'm going to go take some time to myself to just regenerate and do whatever it is that makes me feel good. But I put a boundary on it. I put a time limit on it. I set the expectation. And oftentimes I come back feeling a lot better. So what I would like to have you guys do is figure out what is in that energy in and energy out and add a layer on top of it, right? When we have those super intense moments that, again, depending on the level of intensity, start to come up with some strategies for yourself based on low, mid, and higher intensity situations. And at those moments, start to bring them in, start to use them, right? Like based on the context of the situation. And of course, you know, if it's a low, a mid, or a high intensity situation. But based on that, bring in your strategy. And then we talked about setting that reflection hour per week to make sure you're going back and seeing how you did. Go back and reflect on this, right? Was that 60 seconds enough? Oh my gosh, that was not nearly enough. I needed a different strategy. I needed something more powerful. Maybe I need to use my mid-level intensity for that, or maybe I need to change it up completely. But again, this is a process. Play around with it and figure out what in your self-care routine is going to fill your energy in buffet so that we can start to minimize the energy out buffet and ultimately fill your cup more. And as a result, increase that HRV. Go on it.